Hey guys, Jim Grant here for Ammo Land TV. Now roughly a year ago, Walther came out with the newest addition to their product lineup, the Walther PPQ Q4 steel frame. The Q4 steel frame is basically the compact version of the Q5 itself, an all steel competition handgun chambered in 9mm. And to be honest, it's a hell of a gun and, well, pretty much a boat anchor. It's an extraordinarily heavy handgun, which lends itself to an incredibly soft recoil impulse and other advantages as well. But in a market dominated by polymer-framed, striker-fired handguns, can the Q4 really compete? Well, I put 1,000 rounds through it, and I think I know the answer. So, without further ado, let's take a closer look at the Walther PPQ Q4 steel frame, chambered in 9mm parabellum. The Walther PPQ Q4 OP is a locked breech, magazine-fed semi-automatic pistol chambered in 9mm parabellum. It features from stagger column 15-round steel PPQ M2 magazines and includes 2 in the box. However, original 17-round Q5 mags also fit, and coincidentally, Century TP9 magazines also work. The first thing you'll notice when handling a PPQ is just how smooth the action is. It's like the feeling of chambering around on a hand-fitted precision bolt gun. The gun practically drips with quality. The OP model in particular features a fixed front side post and rear notch, which is fully adjustable for both windage and elevation. Underneath this rear sight is a cutout that facilitates the installation of an optic plate, which itself allows you to install an RMR footprint optic like the Holosun 507C, or of course the Trijicon RMR. Other notable features include an elongated but subdued slide release for super fast reloads without accidentally dropping the slide, and an oversized magazine release that makes dropping spent mags easy for shooters of basically all sizes. Nearly everything on the PPQ is made of steel, but the grip panels are not. And despite being the only polymer component on the gun, the grip panels on the PPQ Q4 are as effective as they are futuristic looking. Walther refers to the texture on them as performance duty texture, which in layman's means a cluster of molded polymer scalloped pyramids that, despite being very aggressive in appearance, don't destroy gloves or damage the shooter's hands. And speaking of ergonomics, the PPQ also features a patented quick defense trigger, which in practice is just like a very smooth trigger with a crisp, clean break and very little take-up. And not to mention an incredibly short reset. Like literally 0.1 inches on the reset. It's fantastic. The trigger system, despite being a striker-fired one, feels much closer to that of a very highly polished double-action revolver, but much shorter. In fact, it was so short that in my experience with the gun, at times it almost felt like it, well, reset itself during the recoil impulse. And speaking of which, there was like no felt recoil and very little muzzle rise with the Walther. Now this is no doubt in due part to the weapon's very heavy 40-ounce unloaded overall weight. You did not hear that incorrectly. Yes, it weighs more than a full-sized CZ SP01, but just like the CZ, has almost no felt recoil as a result of a very clean action combined with a hefty weight. And although it sounds a little crazy, the combination of all that weight and the 9mm rounds already pretty negligible recoil impulse, the gun feels like shooting a full-size 22 when you're firing full-powered 9 through it. It's kind of wild. Now let me get back to the weight for 1 second. Although the gun is extremely heavy, it is marketed as a concealed carry weapon from Walther. Though there are a few features on it that kind of betray that it's not necessarily designed for true concealed carry, though it would absolutely function very well in that role, but rather for USPSA Carry Optics Division. And no doubt in that role, the gun would absolutely dominate. Its combination of ultra-accurate barrel, hefty weight, and ability to mount an optic would make this gun the perfect concealed carry sized competition handgun. But enough of me drooling over the features of the gun. How did it run? Well, in terms of performance, the gun completely blew away all of my wildest expectations. First and foremost, reliability. Well, I've had the gun for a little over a year now, and in that time, I have fired 1,350 rounds of ammo through it. Now notice, I began this review before the pandemic, so it's not a $7,000 review. Just the same, in all that time, I didn't have a single malfunction, and according to my logbook, I never cleaned it. I didn't even oil it, so what you're seeing is the gun running with the factory oil on it. In terms of accuracy, the gun was just as impressive, achieving 2.5-inch groups at 25 yards using 124 grain ammo from SIG ammunition. It was just unbelievable. Now that might not sound impressive to guys out there that are used to long guns, but a 2.5-inch group at 25 yards using a red dot is absolutely amazing out of a handgun. And I suspect that with a more proper test, one using a ransom rest, I would be able to shave another couple of tenths of an inch off that groove. And in case you're wondering, when ran with much cheaper Tula, Monarch, and Wolf ammunition, the steel-cased 115 grain full metal jacket, the gun still achieved around 3-inch groups at 25 yards. Again, way more accurate than you'll ever need a handgun to be. Unless your first name's Jerry and you like shooting balloons at 1,000 yards. And then, well, it'll take you a few more rounds to hit it. Still, overall, an incredible handgun, despite its weight, and truly, probably my favorite handgun in my possession. And really, there's only about 2 things I would change on the gun at all. The first thing would be, I want the front sight to feature a tritium insert, or at the very least, have some sort of white outline or maybe a big dot, something. Because as it stands, the front sight can be a little difficult to acquire when the lighting is not really great. Now, the other thing I'd like to change on the gun, and a little birdie told me this may be on the way pretty soon, would be the inclusion of a threaded barrel. Now, given the fact that the gun is made entirely in Germany, this might be a little difficult, but we'll see. Because I think this gun would make an absolutely stellar suppressor host. So, is the Walther PPQ Q4 OP worth the money? Worth the $1,500 price tag? Well, to me, yeah, absolutely. I think it is one of the best made, softest shooting 9mm handguns I've ever had the pleasure of handling, to be completely honest. Between the precision machining, I mean, the gun is made in Germany, and the aesthetics of the gun, which if you're a fan of the late era James Bond movies, pre-Daniel Craig, you'll understand that this is like the Walther P99 had been adopted for Space Force. It's just amazing. Sure, it weighs 40 ounces, it's extremely heavy, but that heft also dramatically reduces felt recoil to the point where it can make even the sloppiest of shooters feel like a pro in no time. But if you want to really squeeze every ounce of performance, you're still going to have to practice. Thanks, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and of course hit that notification button up top left for more AmmoLand TV. For AmmoLand, I'm Jim Grant. Catch you guys on the flip side.